In this, our last video about WordPress multilingual websites, we're going to do a survey of some of the things that we've covered. At the very beginning, we talked about the difference between internationalization and localization. Internationalization is using coding best practices to allow your site to be translated. In the case of WordPress, the language we use is PHP, and WordPress itself provides a number of excellent functions to facilitate this. Localization is the process of adapting or translating a product or site for another market being someplace where they speak another language. Now, ideally, internationalization is done by a programmer, and this programmer does not need to know the other spoken language. They simply need to use good coding practices to allow for localization. Localization, on the other hand, deals with the process of translating, and the people who do this do not need to be programmers. If internationalization is done properly, then the localizers can do their work without having to know anything special about the technology. Now, the reason these matter to you is that there are three aspects of a WordPress website that need both internationalization and localization: WordPress itself, themes, and plugins. Now, WordPress primarily takes care of itself. You don't need to worry about that. The developers take care of internationalization, and there are volunteers all over the world dealing with localization. Themes and plugins, on the other hand, are often only localized in one language. So when you're choosing a theme and plugin, you need to make sure that they are internationalized well so that when it comes time to localize them, your translators are able to do that. Now, if you're dealing with themes and plugins on WordPress.org, you can go to translate.wordpress.org. And you can take a look at how far along translation is for any given language in any theme or plugin on WordPress.org. For example, let's pick German. And then plugins. And then we'll take a look at Easy Digital Downloads, which is a very common e-commerce platform. And here you can see that the stable version of the latest release is 91% translated into German. And one of the great things about this is anyone may freely create an account here and translate. So when choosing a theme or plugin, make sure that it is internationalized properly so that localization can happen. Then we moved on to WPML, the WordPress Multilingual plugin. This plugin allows site owners to manage your primary content, meta content, like sidebars and menus. You can also manage your translators and help keep them organized and moving forward. And then you can optionally also translate theme and plugin strings. So if you got a good plugin that is internationalized well, you can use WPML to localize it. Here's the website for WPML. There's a complete list of features. There's excellent documentation. And if you purchase, it comes with great support. We also talked a little bit about multilingual SEO. If you use a good plugin like WPML, most of the work is taken care of for you. But you want to avoid URL schemes like $lang equals en to designate a language. And you also want to make sure your site has the proper alt tags to indicate multilingual content. These tags help Google know that you're not simply duplicating content in order to game the system, that you actually have valid content in different languages. Lastly, we talked about the Aclaro translation and localization service, including why you would use a service like this. There are some really excellent reasons, including quality and promptness. Their translators keep up with how quickly languages can change, so that your translations are always what people are commonly speaking. This helps the readers feel like the writing was done by someone who knows their language very well. Also, because Aclaro operates through WPML, they don't actually need access to your site. WPML sends your text out to Aclaro, where they do the work, and then they send it back. This helps keep your site safe and secure. And lastly, human translation and localization is always best. There are entire shelves in the humor section of the library about how machine translation can go wrong. It's hilarious, and you don't want it on your website. Using a service like Aclaro gets you quality, speed, efficiency, and security. If you're running a website where serious multilingual content matters, I strongly recommend you try out Aclaro. We'd like to thank Aclaro for their support in making this video series. Their system has been great to work with, and their support has been very, very helpful.